9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome back to this episode of 49 Faithfullee. I'm your host, Miriah Lee, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, my brother, Aaron from 49ers First Takes. What's up? How you doing? Thank you for joining me.
Not bad, Miriah. Thank you for having me on. I was talking your ear off in the chat, so now we get to talk your ear off in front of a bunch of people. It's
That's good.
Like we said, there's always something to talk about, even though we think there's not going to be. So,
yep. Every morning, without fail, you can log into some social media and find some 49er stuff going on. It's kind of crazy.
Definitely.
What's up, chat? I see you guys. Rob D, Art, appreciate you. Melissa, Jess, what's good? Steve-O. Yeah, it was snowing. It's crazy. How's the weather where you're at?
Snowing, cold. We had an ice out the other day where like the car doors were like frozen shut and stuff of the nature.
Damn.
And, your wheels were froze to the driveway because, it was like this weird sleet, rain, and then it froze over. We haven't had a ton of snow, though, in New York this year, like considerable snow. Like I haven't used my snowblower once. But,
Dang.
I say that now and then we can get 2 feet poured on us in the next week or so. But I'll take it.
Yeah, it wasn't snowing here to where like it's gonna stick on the ground, like it melted right away. But for it to even be snowing in Vegas right now is crazy. And then I was looking on Twitter today, and all the pictures from California coming out with like they actually got snow. It's hella crazy. Like places of California that normally don't. Like my wife's family is from the high desert, which isn't too far from here, but it's in California, but it's desert. Go figure. The name's high desert. And it's usually kind of cold there, but to get snow like they're getting right now, and even in LA, like places like that, they don't usually get snow. So, and then the East Coast,
if I wanted
not
to
even
move
just in New York. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's been cold. No, I'm saying my brother always he's like, you want to move to California because of the Niners. I'm like, yeah, mostly, but I said I've always wanted to live on the West Coast. It would figure if like I decided to do that this year and it would be snowing out there, I'd be like, really? I came out here to get rid of it, and it's still happening. So, it's okay to have all the seasons. It's kind of nice, especially if you have a really hot summer and it's really like droughty. It's nice to have kind of a cool fall. But the thing is if it could go from fall to spring, that would be awesome. Winter is like completely unnecessary, but yeah.
Yeah, being from here my entire life, it's a hot ass desert. Like that's one of my biggest gripes is that we don't get all 4 seasons. It's like we got summer and then a little bit, maybe a month of winter usually. And it's not very cold anyway, our month of winter, but kind of cold for us at least. And then the rest, it's like going back to summer already. And it's just like, oh my God, I'm just so tired of a dry ass heat.
My mother grew up in Sicily.
I miss fall. Like I want to see that,
It's weird because my mom grew up in Sicily, and a lot of Italians moved to Arizona for some reason. It was a tropical climate, she had tropical trees, but she said that winters were more just like rain, and it would get cold, but it would never snow. So she was in complete shock when she moved to America in '68, and it was like, oh my God. So, everybody over there was really tan and nice looking, but you're right. I'd rather have all 4 seasons because I think it's good for the brain, especially with people who have like issues like myself, who need, it's nice to the spring, the summer, all that stuff. It's nice. Yeah. Gets you feeling in a better mood.
Yeah, I completely agree. Throwback, what's up? Let me go through here. Joel, appreciate you guys coming through. David McNew.
What is up, my man?
He's doing great. Sim, I see you. Hope you guys are all doing great this today's Saturday.
Yes.
Let's start with, so you just mentioned you're in New York. I don't think I've ever heard the story of how you became a 49ers fan in New York. So let's start with that.
Oh man, 49ers fan. So I have, like I just said, I have family that lives in Sicily, right? In Italy. I have a third cousin who about 1988, 89, he's a businessman. You know, he like takes like the famous people out to dinner, and he's like a host, and he's been a mayor. Like he's like their cousin of mine. Well, about 30 some odd years ago, he met Joe Montana in Sicily because Montana was on vacation, and I was just getting into football back at that time, and so his name came up. So I started doing a massive amount of like kind of research and looking him up and who he was. And then I started to little by little become a 49ers fan just out of the curiosity of who my relative from another country met. And he was talking about how Montana's wife, Jennifer, was really beautiful. And he was a really nice guy. So I started getting into football. And so the Niners were kind of my squad. And I think I really, really honestly became a Niner, like hardcore, when they lost the NFC Championship game to the Giants, when Montana was knocked out by Leonard Marshall. And from that point, I've had an emotional kind of connection. So you could say about 30, 32 years, about 1990, 91 was when I really came into it. Because I didn't like understand football when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was funny because everybody was a Bills fan growing up around me because I live in Western New York. So my uncles were like, I don't understand it. And at the time, the Niners were winning, so you could technically say I was bandwagon, right? But, you know, I've been through all the hell that all 49er fans have been through the last 35 some odd years. So, yeah, it was just through a family meeting Montana and me being curious to who Montana was, and that kind of spun the yarn to where I am right now, which is completely obsessed.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's crazy how things end up working out like that.
Right.
Like my best friend growing up, and my family's all from Philly, they're Eagles fans. My best friend growing up, she was a huge Dolphins fan. So when I was younger, wanted to be a marine biologist. So I loved dolphins, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know shit about football. I'm like, I could be a Dolphins fan, right? And then shortly after that, my aunt's like boyfriend and his family, and then that same best friend that's a Dolphins fan, her entire family is 49ers fans. So they kind of were like, no, don't do that. You know, like it was going back and forth, like be a Dolphins fan. No, this is why you should be a 49ers fan. And like I just learned about the 49ers. They taught me about football, and I've been a 49ers fan ever since.
What's weird is my brother became a Miami Dolphins fan mainly because of how much he was compared to me growing up and like almost a little bit of resentment. Because I was the baby for 6.5 years before my brother was born. So anytime you met people who had met the family or people, they were always confusing Jared with me. And so I think Jared's whole thing was to have his own identity. And he said that his initial reason why he liked the Dolphins was because of their colors when he was a little kid. Yeah. And then he just became obsessed with, Dan Marino or whatever. So I recruited my nephew, who's almost 30, as a Niners fan, but I could never recruit my own brother, which to me is one of the biggest failures that I've ever encountered, is the fact that he's a Dolphins fan. But, what are you going to do?
Yeah. But I mean, that totally makes sense why he would choose the Dolphins. I can see that. So let's talk about some stuff that's been going on. Obviously we got some rumors and stuff that's out there. And also we saw, I think it was last night, that Trey Lance was courtside at the Warriors game. Obviously the camera pans on him, says Trey Lance, 49ers, yada, yada, right on the screen. And like, I don't want to say like, oh, like I love that, or that's something that, but I do like the fact, like one thing that I couldn't stand about Jimmy is that during the offseason, you never heard, seen, knew anything about the guy. Like, I was always curious, like, what's my quarterback? Like, this is supposed to be our franchise quarterback. Like, what's he doing? Is he training? Is he working out? Is he kicking it with the teammates? What is he doing? Right? Like, everything was just a huge mystery with him. And right, it's not our business what they're doing in their personal life, right? But still, like, me as a fan, I want to know, right? So I like that Trey Lance is actually out there. It's not like he's hiding in his basement.
Talking about that earlier.
Like, we can see what he's doing, like all last year, even we knew that he was out training with Ayuk, right? Like, he was working with his teammates. He wasn't ignoring his teammates' phone calls and stuff like that. So I love that. But it seems like that's got that post and the post about that, the videos on it have got such a bad, I don't know, like, people are going crazy about it on social media. Like, of course, Twitter is like the most Trey Lance haters I've ever seen in my life. Like, I feel like if you talk to 49ers fans just out in public, like in the real world, they're not as much Trey Lance haters as what is on Twitter. Like, these people are just crazy on there. But, like, they're dragging this guy for being at the Warriors game. Oh, that couldn't be my quarterback. And they're posting pictures of Brock. Like, oh, Jimmy would never, and it's just like, what is so wrong with the guy? He's in his off season. Like, what's he just supposed to sit home 24 hours a day? He's not supposed to have a life. But yet, meanwhile, you have half the team partying in Cabo.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Like, there's a double standard with that whole situation, even with the way people look at the I got to mute my phone. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Even with the way people look at the situation with, they'll say, they'll get mad when people say, okay, we've only seen 8 games from Brock Purdy, so it's hard to make a judgment call, right? That's what the media will say, or people on Twitter. And then the same people are only after 4 starts are crucifying this kid, saying he's a bust, he sucks, he's no good. And the fact that he can't even go enjoy something in the offseason where people think he should be training 24/7, that's asinine. I think, to me, it's I hate to say this, but I don't see you as a true 49er fan if you are that divided. I think, like Beto always says, you cheer for the side of the helmet. You don't cheer for the name on the back of the jersey. Mm-hmm. Do I feel more comfortable if you ask me who I'd rather start tomorrow? If the game was tomorrow, if it was a Super Bowl, I would say Brock Purdy. I wouldn't lie to you. But to have written this kid off after 4 starts and at the same time crowning Brock Purdy after 8 starts, why is there a different vibe based on the same kind of information, So to me, listen, he has every opportunity to shut everybody off this offseason, shut everybody up this offseason. And, if he's looking for young college players to go, run routes and stuff, and I think that's great. You would have never heard anything like that about Jimmy. I mean, he did similar things, but Jimmy, to me, is a businessman first and is a quarterback second. Yeah. Jimmy doesn't live, eat, sleep, breathe football. You can tell Brock Purdy, even though he's a very religious man, very God-fearing, talks about Jesus all the time, which I have no problem with whatsoever. He can kind of differentiate the two, but at the same time, football is his occupation, and he takes it very seriously. Trey Lance is maybe not as outspoken on some other things, but I still think he takes it just as much. I mean, what was the takes of him coming out of college? Is he was a head smart, studying type of individual. Larry Krueger talked about it all the time, that he was a film junkie. Do you ever hear any of those same things about Jimmy Garoppolo? Of course not. So to me, it's group mentality. I think it's a lot of ignorant people, and you're right. Anybody you talk to in real life would say, man, you actually guys have a real good situation. You have 2 really good quarterbacks. Only the people that are more of a fan of a certain player and not of a team are the ones that are that way. Because if you're a fan of the 49ers, you want the best guy to do the job. And I really don't care who that is. But to write off Trey Lance after 4 starts and King Brock after 8, it's asinine.
Yep, I completely agree. And, I don't understand why the fan base has to be so divided about every quarterback situation. You know, like that's why I named this show Deja Vu, like on the picture, because it's like I feel like we're doing this all over again. We're going into the off season. It's all this quarterback drama. Quarterbacks are hurt. This guy's going to start. It's a quarterback competition. And then the fans are like, oh, it's Team Trey or it's Team Brock or it's Team Jimmy. You know, it's not Team 49ers anymore. You know, it's like, I don't understand why we can't want Jimmy. He's gone as far as I'm concerned. Right. So speaking on Brock and Trey Lance, like, why can't we want both to be great? Like, why can't we want both to succeed? Why can't we want, you know, like, I don't understand why everything has to be, you know, like, if you like this one, you have to hate this one. If you like, if you say Trey Lance does this great, well, that must mean you're saying Brock sucks at that. You know, like, you can't, like, you have to compliment one and put down the other. Like, compliment both. Talk about what both could improve on, because neither are perfect, right? Like, I just think, you know, and I think that starts with the content creators as well. Like, it seems like, I don't know, like a lot of people are just trying to push narratives now, you know, and they don't put how they truly feel about it. Like, oh, I gotta say this because that's gonna pull in those fans, right? Like, this video will do great because if I say I love Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm gonna get all the Jimmy fans on my channel. You know, it's like, that's what things have turned into now. Instead of just saying, like, I want the 49ers to be great. Like, I want both my quarterbacks to do well, you know, and if later down the road, one of those quarterbacks has to get traded to go be a starter somewhere else, I still want him to do great.
Right.
You know, like, I don't
except for when he
when
he plays us, right? He would have to play poorly. That's it. Right.
Like, why we're wishing for these kids, like, to fail, like, it's like these people, they're praying for Trey Lance to be a bust. It's like, what do you get out of wishing this? He's a kid. He's 22 fucking years old, you know?
Right.
And you're wishing him to fail in life. Like, it's very weird.
I was banished, blacklisted, excommunicated by someone who I used to do content with because I had such a visceral reaction of how dismissive they were when Trey got hurt, and like everybody, like McGlinchey and this person, were all like, we got our quarterback, we'll be okay. And I commented in a stream, and because I was in an emotional state and I said what I said about, you know, we're so ready to jump off the fact that this kid got a snapped ankle and we're not going to see him develop, and we're just so ready to move on to Jimmy Garoppolo. I'd had an issue with that. And you're right. It's like one side or the other and to me, my issue with the whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing is that are we in a business of winning championships, or are we in a business of being popular? And I had an issue with how some of the players were, and how, like I said, dismissive, and like, you know, McGlinchey, Juszczyk, Kittle, you know, so I completely understand when you say that there's kind of like a dividing line. I was a person that I respected very much. They erased me off their followers list on Twitter because I just had a negative reaction. I was not pro Trey Lance. I wanted to see the kid develop.
Right.
And I was upset that it was so dismissed. And I kind of made a comment of like, I never really said that I would rather have the Niners lose, but I wasn't going to be like necessarily like, ooh, rah, hooray for the 49ers when the kid that we spent so much for and we put so much time invested into was so easily dismissed by not only his teammates, but by content creators, fans. So yeah, talk about dividing lines and people like picking sides. It's 100% true. And I really wasn't hating on Jimmy. I was more or less disappointed for the young man, Trey Lance, because you're right. He's a child. I'm 43 years old. That kid's 22?
Yeah.
I was 22 21 years ago or 22 years ago or whatever. So it's been a long time.
Double his life.
Yeah. I could be his dad. Okay, that's weird, but you know what I mean.
Joined. Yeah. No, but it's true. Yeah. 49er minded. Bashar, what's up?
What's up, my dude?
Me and Bashar will be doing a show next Saturday together.
Nice. I love Bashar. Me and him talk about 49er stuff online, offline, doesn't matter. He will just call me randomly on Instagram and be like, man, freaking hate people. I freaking hate that Trey Lance is hurt. Because he wants to see him do, and I completely agree. Like he will literally call me up and talk about how he hates, not necessarily that Brock was doing well, but like he wished Trey would have had his chance, and I completely understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we got Beto in the house too. What up, G?
Leaving. What's up? Christy Marie, Denise. Welcome, ladies. Appreciate you. Let's see.
Ooh.
Let me get down.
There's some violence on folks. I don't know about all that. Oh.
Okay. Sorry. I told them to turn off the damn Wi-Fi because my internet connection was going out. Stealing my internet. Ryan, what's up? I see you. Beto, always flirting with the ladies.
Always.
Blowing kisses. Can't take him anywhere.
I can't do that in real life because I'm old and I get in trouble. So I just stay to myself.
Well, you can't do that from your basement. So
no, when I work with women that are like in their 20s, and I'm like, I just nod my head at people and keep it moving.
Now my dog's coming in here. It's crazy.
Where the dog's at?
Rohan, hey, I was actually just about to talk about you because
my
I'm
guy
talk about something that you commented about today. So there were some reports earlier that the 49ers are working on contract restructures with Fred Warner and Eric Armstead. And then another one that they're also working on a full base salary conversion with Charvarius Ward, which would clear up nearly $10 million of cap space. So that comes out. Obviously, we haven't heard of anything, being done at this time. But my initial thoughts when I saw that was like, why are they doing Armstead? Like, I would not do Armstead because he's old. He already, my wife just texted me, don't be throwing kisses to anyone because you heard me talking about Beto throwing kisses. She's crazy.
Jeez. Thanks, Beto. You're getting Miriah in trouble.
Yeah. It wasn't even
being
to
a
me.
flirt.
I'm getting in trouble.
Right.
But just that he's so, like, he's old. He's, I don't know. He's already has so much, like his cap hit's already crazy. Like, what are we going to do? Extend it out for the rest of our freaking lives? Like the next 10 years, we're going to be having a cap hit for Armstead. But Rohan had tweeted it and put it way better than how I could explain it. So he had said, the 49ers restructuring Eric Armstead, if it happens, is a bad decision. And so there was people questioning it, and he said, like, his reasoning was he's already committed to 24 million and 26 million cap hits over the next 2 seasons because of money pushed back. Restructuring, again, would only increase the number while increasing the dead cap hits over void years. With options like Warner, CMC, Charvarius Ward, Bosa, with more years on deals younger and better chances of extending, seems better for current and future to restructure those contracts to save ample cap space, putting yourself in a hole down the road. And like, I completely agree. Like, That's exactly how I felt when I seen that they were doing Armstead. Like, why? Like, there's so many other people on the team that you could do.
Yeah, and he's
CMC being one, especially.
Yeah, the guys that actually have somewhat of a bigger future, that are younger, that are in their prime. Why not elongate those contracts or kick the can down the road, so to speak? Because that's what you're doing with extensions. Unless you're, like they said, unless you're converting, his salary into a signing bonus and saving money on the cap that particular year, all you're doing is taking the money and spreading it down. And then you have the D Ford kind of issue where you're paying $8 million for a guy that's not on your roster anymore, that's effectively retired. So maybe that I'll be interested to see if that maybe that story has some truth to it, and maybe there's just the names are wrong. Maybe there was because you really haven't seen this anywhere besides the person who reported it and then some of the people that have commented on it. I was going to make a YouTube short. I make a lot of YouTube shorts because they seem to get traction, and I just kind of put that out there. I didn't want to do one on that because I want to see somebody like the Mayoka or the Barros comment on that, because I know if they comment on it, then it's legit. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that I don't believe it, but I'll believe more once I see kind of the big guys. Not saying Rohan's not a big guy, by the way. But people that are beat writers on the 49ers that follow him on a, off season and during the season basis. Yeah. So we'll see.
Rohan's a big little guy.
That's my dude right there.
LR. It's okay. Better late than never. I appreciate you. My internet is still being crazy, so.
You don't look too bad with me.
Okay. I thought I saw somebody else join in, but maybe I'm tripping.
Got Brian here.
Hey. I think because the weather is so shitty outside of the internet, the power has been flickering on and off for like the last 3 days because the weather's been crazy.
Yeah, I know the West Coast
Rohan.
had some serious
You're the
power.
best.
Thank you, Rohan, man. Appreciate it.
Melissa, can you do me a favor? Can you post Rohan's YouTube channel in the chat for me, please? And anybody, if you're not subscribed to Rohan, please go do so right now and come back. I would greatly appreciate it. All Aaron's Twitter and his YouTube info is in the chat. So if any of you happen to not be following in him or not subscribed to him already, please go do so. We would both greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Do you have can I ask you a question? Is your microphone connected?
Not this one.
The one that's in front of you?
Why is it not working?
No, you have a little bit of an echo. I don't know if you clicked on it when you were in the menu. Or maybe that's because that's just, I don't know how your sound usually sounds.
Let me see. Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
Steve Suprema. Yeah, you sound great. I think that's you're talking to your actual microphone now. It sounded like were like, yeah, there you go. You had like the outside noise was kind of picked up and not your voice.
Oh, maybe it was connected to my camera mic instead of my actual mic. It's because when I went to Ryan's, we used his Restream, whatever the hell he uses. And so my audio and all my settings were like all weird in there. And it's like worded different to me when I went on Wayne Breezy's. Yeah. So I didn't know how the hell to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, so probably that whole entire show was going through that mic too.
Yeah, I noticed it, and then Bashar just commented on it. So he probably noticed the same thing too. Sounds way better. Yeah, it was picking up a lot of your background noise. Now it sounds nice and clean.
All right, we're back. We're back in business. Appreciate.
We're back in business.
Ryan screwing up shit, man. Swear.
Yeah, I did Restream one time on Wayne Breezy's, and my audio was going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and that's like that Restream is like an internet killer too. Like I swear it sucks everybody's internet when they're trying to use it.
Definitely.
Let me get your thoughts. I mentioned a little bit the Cabo crew. What are your whole thoughts on, like, we would never hear like Bill Belichick hanging out with his players in the off season, right? Like we would never hear about the Walsh or like these Hall of Fame head coaches hanging out with their players in the off season. Now, some people think it's great, that they have that close of a relationship and they can hang out and all this. What are your thoughts on that whole situation about Kyle Shanahan, hanging out with, and it's not like all the players. It's like a specific group of players, each year that's there.
I know that the Niners did something similar back in, I don't know if it was Seifert's day. I know Montana, all them went to Hawaii. A lot of the big name guys like Harris Barton, Montana, big name players were down there. I'm okay with it, but I can understand how if you're not within that circle of players, it could be looked at as favoritism. It is a little weird because, they haven't won anything and they kind of almost carry themselves like they have, which kind of always bothers me. But at the end of the day, in the off season, it's kind of your place to do whatever you want, considering the amount of physical and mental toll that they spend, however many months out of the year away from their families or having any extended time off. Because a lot of these guys within the next couple of weeks are going to start working out. Both all these other people. So I'm a little weirded that there's certain individuals and not other individuals, but at the same time, they're all a bunch of good-looking rich people who can kind of do what they want. So I'm kind of like on the fence with it. I really don't think it's cool that some are not part of the Cabo clique, but at the end of the day, I mean, you could kind of go down there and just meet up with them if you were a player that's outside the clique. Like, oh, I didn't know you guys were down here. But hey, what they do in the off season, to me, I guess it's up to them.
Yeah, it seems like the chat, some are saying Pizzagate, because remember that video of Kyle
when
Shanahan
he threw the
throwing
football into the pizza oven? Yeah.
Pizza oven.
Right.
That was last year, right? Or the year before, I don't know. Team building or weird. Yeah, I don't know. Like I've seen people, and I never thought like it was weird, and I never questioned it. Like I liked it, like I like that our team, is so close. But like listening to people now this season, it seems especially, and that the fact that it's these specific players now we're seeing a pattern of, and now CMC obviously added to the group. Made me start like, well, is it weird? Like, is this something that's not normal? And I saw somebody say maybe, like the players did do it and the teams did do it back in the day, but now, everything's on social media. So we're finding out a lot more things that we didn't get to find out back then.
Right. I mean, the Niners went to a concert after they lost the Super Bowl, right? In Miami. I forget who the rapper was that was there. I mean, they were celebrating like they won.
Lil Wayne.
Yeah, I would have been in my hotel room crying. I would not have been out. Plus, I don't like crowds or a lot of people, so you would not have caught me there.
Yeah, now that I thought was pretty weird. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, to be out celebrating, like, and I get, like, you made it, like, you had a great season, and yeah, that is something to celebrate, but it's not something to celebrate when you just lost the reason that you play the entire season, like, I don't know, that was strange.
We're just eccentric fans that can't separate the player from the off-season person, but I don't know, man. I don't see the old-time 49ers partying after they would lose the Super Bowl. But they never lost, so we never had to experience that. So
that too. Maybe that's a big reason of it too. Throwback says, did we see Trey Lance's IG? And I guess that you're talking about him looking for high school and college, some receivers to go throw with, to go work out with this weekend. If that's not it, then let me know what you're talking about. But I'll guess that that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, he was recruiting anybody in this, I think this is South Bay, to throw the ball around with. I mean, I'm sure he's got, routes or whatever that he wants run. The guy's probably itching to throw a football. He hasn't thrown a football since September.
Yeah.
And if you're a quarterback and you love throwing the ball, it must have been torture having to sit and wait all these months and not be able to freaking sling the rock. And, I'm not really, I'm all for it. Listen, like I said before, this is his off season to kind of, reestablish himself, considering we might not see Purdy until the late preseason. So, get him throwing, get that arm loose, ramp it up, and be ready for off season mini camps and all that stuff. I'm all for it. And it's kind of weird, man. if I was a kid or a high schooler or a college person and an NFL quarterback, even if it was Trey Lance, would be asking to, toss the rock with me. I would have been like peeing in my pajamas, man. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So, cool for him. He seems really approachable. I don't get a sense of arrogance or a sense of just a hooty tooty kind of attitude with him. So I think that's great, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. I love that, he's able to, that now he's into that step where he can start doing football stuff, whether we don't know how significant or how, much he's going to be doing, but the fact that he can be doing anything at all is a great sign, right? Like, get back out there, start doing football activities, on trending upwards. So hopefully we can have at least one healthy quarterback by the time the season starts.
Right.
What are your thoughts on who to get for the quarterback 3? So let's say Purdy, let's say he's either healthy by the beginning of the season or, week 3, 4, 5-ish. What would you, if in the perfect world, what would you do in the quarterback 3 spot?
It's tough. You're gonna have to bring a veteran into camp. I think we could do better than Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
I think the guy that we released last year, trying to think his name, the backup that we released in.
Oh shit. Yeah, I know.
Help us out, guy.
Yeah. What the hell?
His last name wasn't Sherfield, was it? No,
yeah.
That was
No, that's the wide receiver. It was something. Oh,
let me look it up.
Why am I
49ers?
That's crazy.
We all know his name. Guy.
Sudfield. Thank you,
Sudfield. Yeah, I would, something along those lines. I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't spend a bunch of money. Sudfield knows the offense. Sudfield was only let go because of how effective or elite, not effective, how much confidence they had in Brock Purdy going into the season. So, yeah, bring somebody like Sudfield, maybe take a late round flyer on a quarterback again. The thing is you need to have the reps spread out to a certain thing so that Trey doesn't, throw his arm out in off-season workouts. You can't just have him and nobody else. So bringing in a veteran and then maybe bringing in, a college guy. They're definitely going to have at least 4 quarterbacks in training camp. And, I would assume, right, going into training camp because Purdy's not going to be ready till the way it's sounding until, late August. I know some people are saying Jared Stidham. Some people are saying Andy Dalton. A lot of these guys would cost way too much money for their own good. I feel like Sudfield would be the perfect guy to bring in because I think he would be able to do something if somebody went down. We just got to hope and pray that this last year was a complete anomaly with the quarterbacks because every time I think about the NFC Championship game, I feel like we got short-staffed or got the short end of the stick. Like that doesn't happen. Yeah. Some people got Tyler Heineke. I wouldn't have a problem with Tyler Heineke. But again, how much money are these guys looking to get? You know what I mean? Heineke's started in the league. And then all of a sudden you want him to be your number 3 quarterback. I don't know if he would be able to do that. But I know the quarterbacks that everybody wants, the 3 that everybody wants, they're going to command a pretty penny, even Jimmy, but we'll see. I think the first offseason workouts happen right after the draft, I would assume. So I guess we'll get an answer soon with guys throwing. We'll get an answer probably late April with the first mini camp starting. Trey should be ready to go by then. I mean, that fact that he's already throwing, which means his boot is probably off. So, yeah, I would go after someone like Nate Sudfeld, maybe draft a quarterback as well.
Speaking of Jimmy, some things that came out about him, like with how much he was looking for. And I know ever since the news came out about Brock Purdy's, that he still has swelling and his surgery is getting pushed back, then it opened room to bring in the narrative. Oh, well, Jimmy G might be coming back, right? Like maybe there's a chance for Jimmy G to come back. And some news kind of came out, I'm trying to find it, that he was looking for like a 2 to 3 year deal, like 25 to 30 million a year. And they said that he's like that teams see him at, like, league wide, teams see that he's the third option after Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr find where they're going to go, or, you know, like for those two pieces to move, and then it's Jimmy Garoppolo up out of the next, you know, out of anybody else that's a free agent or whatnot. I cannot see, like, yeah, of course, you know, you're going to throw out, I could say, yeah, I want 100 million a year, but that doesn't mean a team's going to pay you that, right? So he could say he wants 25 to 30 a year. Well, that's great and dandy, but we'll see what a team actually gives him. If I'm a team, there's no way I'm paying that for somebody that's only a bridge quarterback, that ended another season not healthy, another season injured. Like, you know, like, he's only finished one season healthy in his freaking career.
Yeah.
And you're going to give him $30 million to lead your team that you're rebuilding, or maybe teams that are think that they're just a quarterback away. I don't know. Like, you've seen that what he looks like in the playoffs. So if that's who you're getting to be your quarterback to save you through the playoffs and get you to the Super Bowl, I don't know. That's kind of crazy.
The bitter part of me says, good. I hope whoever he goes to, you know, hope it's worth it. Have at it with Jimmy. But I feel like, I mean, teams are desperate for quarterbacks, right? And someone's going to want to have to pay him to be their bridge quarterback. And, you know, he's the best option out there after the two names that you mentioned. So, I don't know if he necessarily gets $30 million. Somebody in the chat was saying more around 20 million, maybe somewhere in the 22 to $24 million range. I just, man, he's so mediocre. A lot of people say he turned the Niners, you know, fortunes around, and he was the reason that the Niners' fortunes turned around. And I'll say that he's played well in stretches during times that we've been good. But to say that he was the number one reason, like when we watched Brock Purdy, in a lot of games, Brock's play is what elevated the 49ers. Yes, he has a lot of weapons around him, but you can't honestly say when you watch the two of them that they're the same person, because they're not. Brock, what he could do with his legs, his leadership, his calmness, his ability to play calm with, pressure in his face. I mean, the first game he came in, he was getting blitzed constantly and played really well against the Bucks. So, I think because the market may be thin after those three guys, he might get paid something, but we'll see. I mean, we're going to know early March what's going on with Purdy. If his swelling goes down and some are ready to do surgery, I mean, that's going to be the telling thing. I just don't think he can't come back to the 49ers again. The Niners have to, you know, cut that scab off and move forward, man. I'm sick of this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to think about this anymore. I'm sick of looking at his pretty face all the time. His mediocre ass. You know, you see him on the sideline. He could have played probably in the NFC Championship game, but he made a business decision after everything this team has done for him. So hopefully somebody signs and overpays for him, and we can watch that team, meddle in mediocrity with a really handsome yet extremely limited quarterback.
Yeah. What's up, Low the Truth? I see you. Alberto Emiliano. I'm way behind, so let me see if anybody else joined real quick. Terradome.
What is up, Terradome?
People in hell want ice water. Yeah. I'm guessing that's to Jimmy wanting 30 million a year.
That's a good one. I like that. I just got that. I'm slow.
That might not be what it's to, but I'm just guessing. I just
People
make up my own what the comments are to.
That is hilarious, though.
I think that's everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. I appreciate you guys all being here. when you were listing off that, oh, yeah, some teams will want him because he's the third best option after the ones I listed. We went into last offseason thinking that same thing too. That, well, some team needs a quarterback. Teams need quarterbacks right now, so somebody's going to sign him. And it ended up being the 49ers, unfortunately. So I don't know. Like, I feel like the only hope that I have is because up into this point, Kyle had always been like, when asked about anything, oh, we don't know if we're going to be alive Saturday. Oh, well, anything can happen. I would never say no to anything. And finally this year, when asked, is there any chance Jimmy's back on this team? He says straight out, no. Like, I feel like Kyle's just finally done, like, had enough. Like, okay, we know it's not just a fluke, 100% sure he can't stay healthy, right? Like, this happens every single year. We didn't even need him for, to start the season, and still he couldn't even make it through the season. It's like, it's crazy how much that guy gets hurt. And they're not all his fault, right? Unfortunate things happen, injuries are part of the game, but this is a year after year after year after year thing going all the way back to since when he was in the Patriots.
Yeah,
so to pay that guy that much money and have your team rely on him, like, for those teams that are just a quarterback away, like to have your team pay him that much and rely on him to make it through the season to get you to the Super Bowl, it's the chances are that's not going to happen.
I just want it to not be our problem anymore, and I mean this in all sincerity. Not wishing him injured. I'm not wishing him any ill will, but I just don't want this situation anymore in the 49ers. Like, how many years since 2017 we've had quarterback issues. We still don't have. I was listening to that one lady on ESPN talk about it. She said, for as good as the Niners roster is and as good as talented as the 49ers are, loaded, the quarterback has always been their Achilles heel. And she's right. Whether it's injuries, whether it's, the Niners missing in the draft or not drafting people because they thought they were going to get Kirk Cousins in the offseason, or just, signing Jimmy after 5 games played and turns out that he was fool's gold. Like, the Niners are in the same position this offseason that they always have been. But I mean, they have their, the guy that they drafted number 3 overall in the 2021 draft. He's there. He's there to be had. He's going to be ready for offseason throwing. So, and like I said, we're going to know once we get the definitive on Purdy, and it's positive, hopefully, then we could finally say goodbye to Jimmy Garoppolo. Because this front office, especially Kyle and John, at that press conference at the end of the year, they were adamant that they knew what was going on with Brock Purdy. Now, whether that changes, we'll see. But if it is really what they say it is, and he can start throwing in 3 months, then we should be good. If we start the season and he's not there for the first, 3 weeks, and we have Nate Sudfeld as our backup, I think we'll be okay. The only thing is we got to start fast, and Trey has to play well. Like, this is going to be Trey's ship to what was I say, pilot his ship to captain, and he has to play well. If he plays well and then Purdy comes back, now we have a really good backup who we know that if Trey goes down again, we have no doubt in our mind that he can win. So this can end up being a really positive thing, but we just got to get to that point where we know what's going on with Brock Purdy. It says once that is figured out and we have that information, I think this offseason is going to have a way better feel to it, because then we're going to be like, wow, now we have 2 really good quarterbacks. Say we keep someone like, the quarterback we mentioned before around, or maybe they draft a guy, who knows? A lot of it is pending on the health and the condition of the elbow of Brock Purdy.
Yep. Melissa posted the link to Rohan's channel. So if any of you are not already subbed to his channel, please follow that link right now. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate you. Throwback asked, how about Cooper Rush?
I mean, hell yeah, if they can afford him. I would say yes. I mean, he played amazing last year with that. He's pretty talented. I mean, how much is that as the guys that were around him? And I mean, at times he looked like he played better than Dak Prescott last year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about money, guys. The Niners are going to pay through the nose for a third string quarterback. Again, we got to keep going back to the fact that we got to find out what's going on with Purdy first.
Yeah.
Once that question's answered, all other questions will be answered. Like, what kind of level backup do we really need? If he ends up having a lot bigger issue than we think, then I could see the Niners maybe splurging on a backup. It's everything's like up in the air right now. It sucks. Rush could be a really good quarterback, but is he going to be good in our system? He was good in Dallas's system. Will he be good in Kyle's extremely complicated, extremely wordy, extremely, integral system that Kyle runs? He might do better in another team because they're only using numbers and codes and, special words. Here in this one, it's like you got to put out a paragraph every time you call a play. So we'll wait and see. I'm praying. Not praying in the sense of like, oh God, like I'm praying to you, but I'm praying like that we just get some information. Hell, if I get my knee surgery, which has been put off for almost 2 months because of the stupid New York State, before this poor kid gets his elbow surgery, oh my God, that'll be horrible. I've been waiting almost 2 months and I might have my surgery before him. That's stupid. But I'm an old man, so I mean, it's like whatever. So.
I also think Cooper Rush kind of falls into that category, like you were talking about with Heineke. Like, why would he, he just showed the whole league what he can do as a starter. Why would he want to go be the third backup somewhere? Like, that just doesn't make sense. He's going to have, I think that they'll both have better options than to be the third backup somewhere. Now, if we get news that Purdy, is getting the full Tommy John surgery and he's not going to be back, well, then obviously we're looking for the number 2 guy. So that changes. And I think then we're looking at, for a guy like Cooper Rush, Heineke, one of those top end backups.
Yeah, because then you really have to, the level of backup needs to go up. You can't have some middling freaking guy that's never touched the field and say, yeah, we're good. We'll be all right. Because your season, look, I don't know about you, Miriah, but when Purdy came in, I thought the season was toast. I thought it was done. I'm like, all this damn talent we got, and we're toast this early in the season. And then Purdy became the second coming of Jesus Christ, walking on water. Like, whoa, what is this? So, it's everything's predicated on the Purdy surgery. Because you're not going to pay $10 to $12 million for a backup quarterback if he's going to be your third guy. Are you serious? Like, no. Yeah. So.
Yeah, hopefully we do find out something. Like, I know they didn't really say when he's going back to the doctor, and they didn't say just because they said we'll take another look at it sometime in March. That don't even mean that's when the surgery. Yeah, so who even knows? Maybe it's like every 2 weeks we're gonna check it and see, type of thing now. Because you would think like if the surgeon, when they set that surgery date, they set it enough forward thinking that the swelling would be down by then, right? Like. So for the swelling not to be down with almost a month, like that seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it is crazy. That's a lot of swelling in a long time for it to be swollen, considering he hasn't thrown a pass in, like you said, almost a month. But I've heard some things that could be something that's par for the course, but that type of injury. So everybody's body is different. But yeah, it is concerning, but even the doctors and the people that were talking didn't seem too overly concerned. They still think, even though that's happening, that they could still get one of those internal brace type surgeries done and he'll be ready to throw in 3 months. So maybe it's just us over worrying, and maybe the Niners have a better idea what's going on between, the team doctors and the front office and the coaches and stuff. So it sucks though, because I really like Purdy, and like I said, I'm rooting for the helmet, man, and I wasn't saying that he was going to win the Super Bowl last year, but man, there was a shot. The Niners had a shot, and if he would have been healthy in an NFC Championship, not saying we would have won, we may very well have still lost. But to get boat race like we did, and not to have a competitive, game against those guys, and then, to people that say that they were bitter and that we were making excuses, and it's just, and then you see what happens to the Eagles, and it was so gratifying. But yeah, we didn't really have a chance. We it's like getting left at the altar, like you're ready to get married and, say your vows, and she's like, peace out, I'm going to Vegas. Woo! That's pretty much what happened. So.
Hey, Tia. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Hope you're doing well. I think that's what makes that loss so hard. Like I still think about it because it's like, like what could have been? Like we don't know, and that's what makes it the worst. Like at least if we went in there and we had a healthy quarterback and we put up a fight and lost, okay, well, we know what happened. We know that, the Eagles were just the better team that day, right? But to not even be able to have a fighting chance, like to just pretty much have to go in there and lay down, and let them freaking walk all over us. And then for their fans to, on top of it, to be like, oh, we kicked your ass, we blew you out, like all this shit, like without no context, that we didn't have a quarterback. Like they're cheering away and so happy that they beat a team without a quarterback, like I would be feeling some kind of way about that. Of course, you're still celebrating the win, but like those people have no fucking class over there.
When I had somebody come at me, an Eagles fan, I made probably a short. And I said, listen, they won, great. I'm not going to hate on the fact that they won, but to not put an asterisk on it and be like, listen, we did beat you, but you didn't have your quarterback. At least to put that out there and to give us that. A lot of Eagles fans were not going to give us that. They were just like, no, we kicked your ass. It wouldn't have mattered if he was playing quarterback, yada, yada, yada. And then to see what their defense was in the Super Bowl. Now, granted, it was Mahomes, but he was hampered and he still carved them up. I think the Niners could have moved the ball very effectively on them. Again, we're not saying that they would have won, but, like I was telling all the guys when we were doing all the shows before the game, I said, if that game would have been close in the fourth quarter, I think the Niners would have won. All things being even. I was saying that all the previews before the actual game happened, because the Niners are just, they were very experienced in this past year, and they've been there. They've been up at that, moment so many times, and the difference was they had someone like Purdy and like McCaffrey, who I think could have got him over the edge in a late game situation, but we didn't even get the chance to see that. Our starting quarterback was out by mid-second quarter, and then the backup of the backup of the backup was knocked out of the game with a concussion, and that was it. The game was over. And to not admit that and to be kind of like cocky and be like, nah, we would have whooped you anyways. Fool's gold. That's all I got to say. Fool's gold. So whatever. You lost in the Super Bowl. So
And then, it was so crazy how focused, because obviously we know, the 49ers were out there running them, talking shit, whatever that, Ayuk, we would have carved up that defense, talking about we would have exposed them. We knew where to hit them, Debo pretty much, saying that their players sucked pretty much.
Bradbury was trash. Yep.
Yeah, they were mincing no words, right? And it seemed like the Eagles fans, the Eagles players, the Eagles reporters, everybody around the Eagles were more focused on the 49ers than their upcoming opponent in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me. Like, you're going to the Super Bowl and all you guys are talking about are the 49ers.
Yeah, you're still stuck on the conference championship against a team that didn't have a quarterback, and you're trying to defend your victory. And then you got probably one of the greatest quarterbacks of this generation ready to cut you like a hot knife to butter. And no 49er fan pitied the Eagles in that Super Bowl at all.
Nope.
How many content creators out there who are in this chat right now can say to yourself, nah, it didn't affect me one way or the other? Bull. When the Eagles lost, you were like a freaking, a pig in shit. Like, you were happy. I was so happy. because they attacked me personally on my channel and told me I was a loser and that my team sucked and it wouldn't have mattered and this, that, and the other. So I wasn't like, oh, you're kind of a loser. The fact that I wish that we won. Don't get me wrong. I'm not happy Kansas City's got another ring, but I'm just happy it wasn't the Eagles. And so whatever, man, call me what you want. So.
Yeah, their fans, out of anybody that we played the last 2 years, that I've been doing this and having, the opposite fans come in the chat, their fans were the most toxic out of anybody that's come in the chat. We had to block more Eagle fans.
Yeah, people that were there. Freaking Bonte Hill and Shasky were there.
Yep.
49er players and their wives were there. They're freaking horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll defend myself, but I'm not going to defend myself against 80,000 people. Even if somebody's bouncing beers off the back of my head, I would have been hot though. I'm not going to lie. I probably would have chucked one of those back and smacked somebody with it, and then it would have been an all-out war in the stands. But man, I couldn't deal with that. Like,
no.
My brother said Bills fans are pretty bad because he's a Dolphins fan. He's been to the stadium, but I don't think they're anywhere near as bad. And I think it's the Dolphins too. I think if I went there as a Niners fan, I don't think a lot of them would be talking massive amounts of smack. Plus, I'm pretty quiet when I watch games. I'm really quiet. I take everything in. I used to throw stuff and bust stuff up against the wall and curse and, act like a petulant child up until probably the year when we lost to Kansas City. I lost my nerve to get mad. I could no longer get angry watching football because that was like the ultimate heartbreak.
Yeah.
So now when I watch games, I'm like, okay, I got a channel. I have an outlet. I'm just going to internalize everything and then go talk on my, live with my crew at NWO or whatever, this person. And that's how I've kind of compartmentalized it. It makes a very difference. But man, I couldn't have imagined being there and having people, insulting me, throwing stuff at me, hitting my, I got that nice gold Niners, Faithful the Bay jacket. Somebody gets that dirty, I'm hurting them. Someone's getting hurt. So
yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, I'm the same with you now. Like, I used to be crazy too when it came to football. Like, we lost, and my wife would be like, "Oh my god, you're such a bitch the entire day," right? Like, now, I'm the same. I think it's because now I have a channel. I get to come talk about it, so I'm the same. I sit there, I'm just into the game, watching it. I want us to win, but if we lose, I'm not letting it affect my entire week like I used to.
I think coming from somebody who deals with depression and anxiety, if you allow, I would so focus on watching the game, and then when I would get my heart broken, it would affect me really negatively to where it would overtake my life. And I'm getting into my 40s, and I'm like, I could have kids and a wife. This can't happen. So the fact, like I said, the fact that I've had the channel, it's become very cathartic. Do I get mad and think about it while I'm, by myself, if I'm waking up in the middle of the night to get something to drink? Yes. But at the end of the day, I mean, our life won't change whether they win a trophy or not. Really, it comes down to bragging rights. That's really what it is. We can bump our chest and say, what? We won our sixth. You used to say we went against the Bills and we beat the Bills. And now the Bills would be 0-5 in Super Bowls. We have that on them forever. There's nothing they can do about it. But that's really what it comes down to. But yeah, the pain still hurts. But I've gotten better. I'm going to be 44 next year. You can't be doing that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Sim says we just smoke the pain away. Yep.
Yeah, right. Whatever you got to do. If you got to smoke the doobie, if you got to smoke many doobies, or just get a massive, whatever you got to do, just don't hurt nobody and don't go drinking, driving. Do whatever you got to do at home, whatever chemicals you need.
Yeah. Hey, Sin. I don't remember if I said hey to you earlier, but if not, I apologize.
Like the name Cinnamon Kiss.
Yeah.
I'm still mad. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Too. And her husband's an Eagles fan, and they live on the East Coast over there. So makes it even worse.
No, some of my best friends that I grew up with were Cowboys fans, and they're the most gracious people when they lose. They don't say you guys cheated. Woo. Nothing. And I feel bad. Like when we lost the game or when we beat the Dallas Cowboys, the first person I thought about was one of my friends growing up, and he's going through some health issues. And it's like almost like, damn, I actually feel guilty that the Niners won this game. And then I got over it and I was like, I don't feel guilty anymore. I felt bad for about 5 minutes.
About time you made it. Yeah. I know. Normally, like I'll be cheering up, for because like I said, my family's Eagles fan. So normally if they were in the playoffs, like I'd be cheering for my mom, because of course she's going to be excited if they win. This year, I just text her, good luck. And that's it.
My own nephew who's a Niners fan is like,
nothing.
My own nephew who's a Niners fan. He's like, I can't text Uncle Aaron during games because Uncle Aaron gets in a really bad mood and he gets really quiet. I'm like, yes. Every time he texts me during the game, I'm very short with him, or I'll be like, sorry, I can't really talk right now. I'm emotionally invested. And so then he stops texting me altogether, and I felt really bad, but it sucks. Yeah, I'm weird during games, man. I get really quiet. I usually have the TV on mute too. I hate listening to the broadcast. I like to be left alone when I watch games in the quiet. So,
because
usually
most of the times I watch it quiet as well.
Yeah, because most of the times the announcer's probably freaking pissing all over himself because whoever we're facing, they love way more. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, it's like, can you say one great thing about the 49ers? But then, you get your broadcast where they talk about how great the Niners are as a team. So we get a little bit of it, but being an East Coaster, this is all Bills country here, man. All they care about. I think it's funny though, because I rep my Niners stuff. I put that on Twitter the other day and I tweeted, I said, I want to know anybody else. Do you guys rep your Niner gear all year round, regardless? Like I rep my hats, my shoes. I have 49er shoes, my jackets, my hoodies, and other people are like, hell yeah. Because the Bills fans around here, because I work at like this grocery chain, a massive East Coast grocery chain, and they put up all the stuff every single year, right? Oh, they talked so much mess going into the playoffs. And then they're like, oh, I got to put everything away till next year. I'm like, what do you mean put everything away? You should be repping regardless. Like, what's up with that mindset? So, yeah. I went and did a COVID test for my surgery that was supposed to happen. And I had my gold jacket and my nice lid on. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, I wear mine all the time. Now, like we have such a mix of fans here in Vegas, but of course now there's a lot of Raiders fans you see. And I see them wear their gear all year long too. Like they don't go hide their shit, and they're losers most of the time, and they're still ripping their gear. It's funny because before you said that about the Bills, I was going to ask you because they seem like such a committed fan base.
Oh, they're super committed, but they're also completely delusional. They'll talk trash to Dolphins fans and say all this trash about this team and that team. I'm like, your team, you haven't won a Super Bowl ever. How are you talking? You could say the Dolphins haven't won one in a line. They still have more than you, and they won those in the 70s. Like, be quiet. I had a Bills fan attack me during the early part of the season saying, I wish we would play you. We'd smoke you, right? And then to see how they went down like a bunch of, I won't say the word, but a bunch of bees to the friggin' Bengals. Oh, everybody got really like quiet and super like passive aggressive on Twitter or Facebook after. And I just sat there and I was just like, haha, yes. Because I'm really petty. I like to take jabs at people and get them riled up. So, but I didn't do it, because figure the Niners end up losing the NFC Championship game. Houston, we have a problem. Oh, you're moving a little bit.
Let's see. It's coming back. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Internet, I don't.
Is it mine?
See. No, it's mine. Can
you guys see me? Am I moving? Okay, there you are.
Is it coming back?
Yeah, what did my Google's
I don't know what the hell. All right.
Oh, that's
I think
weird.
it's the weather.
Gotta love it.
All right, we're back. Yeah, I was gonna say this comment from Bebop says I went to an Eagles bar during the Super Bowl and felt like a million.
That's awesome.
And that's like, like I didn't want, if Kansas City probably would have played anybody else in the Super Bowl, I probably would have been rooting for the other team, but because I didn't want Kansas City to win another one after they freaking beat us, But since it was the Eagles, like hell yeah, I was rooting for them to win.
Oh, I was laughing like people would be like, "You're such a loser." The fact that you're cheering because you're pathetic because your team. I'm like, even my brother was happy for me that the Eagles freaking lost. We were like, ah, ha, ha. I told him, I was like, they ran so much trash, talked so much trash on Niners fans. Oh, I felt so good. And then right after it, I was like, damn it. I wish that was us. A lot of people said we wouldn't have beat the Chiefs, and maybe you're right. So I don't know. The Niners have some work to do this offseason. They have to build their team in order to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I honestly believe that. Because if they play well and they can start fast and they can get, a decent playoff seeding, it's not what we got to do in the NFC. It's what we got to do, when we face somebody in the AFC. Build your team to beat the Chiefs. Add more offensive weapons if you have to. Keep adding more offensive weapons because it looks like defense don't matter anymore, that you just got to add as many pieces to your offense to make yourself to score 50 points a game. Because, the Eagles had a great defense, right? And they got exposed. We went against the Chiefs that year. We were really good defense. We got somewhat exposed late in that game. So does it really even matter anymore what kind of your defense is? Or do you just got to I don't know, should the Niners go and draft another receiver or bring in another explosive running back? What else do we have to do to match up so we can score 45 points?
Yeah, I completely agree. They definitely need to switch the philosophy that they've been
right
with these last few years because I don't, is there a defense that can actually stop Patrick Mahomes? Like he was on one leg and one of the best defenses couldn't stop him. It's like,
yeah, that's the thing that gets to me is like
something else.
Well, I told my brother that it was this feel good story. Like it was the rigged. The Chiefs had to win. I was like, they're going to talk about it. It's going to go down in history. He played on one leg, yada, yada, yada. And sure enough, and I called that in the divisional round. And it ended up happening. And I looked at my brother after the Super Bowl. I was like, I told you it was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen. I was like, the league is all about its storylines, man. Even the people were saying that were doing all the betting in Las Vegas that the Niners were not, like, they didn't want people betting on the Niners. Like it wasn't good for them. So.
What's up, Eric? I see you. And Ted, I appreciate you. I see you. Eric is a Seahawks fan, and he says, I can honestly say in that postseason game, I was not at all surprised when Purdy started doing his thing.
Oh, that's nice. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't hear a lot of I never see a lot of Seahawks fans that are complimentary, other than my boy Squabo says he's a pretty good guy. Think that it's true, and I appreciate that. It is nice to say. A lot of people were starting to become Team Purdy. Let's just say it. We better hope that Trey Lance is Patrick Mahomes. I don't think anybody's going to be Patrick Mahomes, Denise. We just hope he could be the best Trey Lance he can be. That's all I want.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Whatever that is, whatever incarnation of quarterback that we see. Mahomes is an outlier.
Eric, he's a different kind of Seahawks fan. After we had beat them the last regular season game on my instant reaction show, he came into the chat, asked if he could have the link to the show. He came onto the show and congratulated us on the live.
Wow. I mean, I will do that too, unless you're a complete turd. Then I'll be kind of like, petty. But for the most part, like if I have a fan and they're a fan of another team and we're watching the game together, shake your hand, be like, yo, your team kicked our ass. Good for you.
Yep.
But if you're talking massive smack and we win, I'm going to dance in front of you and I'm going to freaking gyrate, and you're going to have to like it. And if you don't like it, then we might have problems. So
I don't know if anybody wants to see Aaron gyrating, but
nobody wants to see that, including the ladies. I can assure that.
Sim says, if Trey Lance is Patrick Mahomes, his mama got to take a paternity test.
Oy. Oh, what was I about to say? Oh, I had something on the tip of my tongue about you were saying about people dancing and gyrating. I totally forgot. It was kind of funny. I was making fun of myself, but it's all good.
All right, Aaron, you want to let the good people know where to find you if they know already and what you got going on?
Yeah, 49ers First Takes is the channel. 49ers First and Takes, kind of like the show First Takes. Usually during the season, I talk or I have live shows Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays are with the NWO crew with Beto, Niner Sickness Podcast, Bashar from 49er Minded, and No Border Sports, Ryan. Wednesdays is with Ted from Ted Talks Ball. And then Friday, usually it's me, Beto, and Wolf Lazima from Wolfgang, 49ers Wolfgang. I always mess up his channel. You guys know who Wolf is.
Yeah.
He's taking a little bit of a break from YouTube right now, which I totally get because people have kids and families. But yeah, we try to get Raj on a lot of times from RSF Niners. He's like our unofficial. He's like the unofficial extra member of the Monday and the Friday shows.
He's great.
We this past week we had Joe Shasky on from 95.7 The Game. I'm gonna tell you guys, if Miriah, if anybody ever gets him on as a guest, dude is the same way on camera as he is off camera. He's just like one of the guys. He is not a phony baloney. I just tweeted him before we started the show and just thanked him again for like the third time. Because it's so weird when, you meet people and they're completely different than what you think in real life, or you have them on and you're like, oh, yeah, I don't know about them, good guy. But yeah, that's during the season. Right now I'm doing a lot of what do you call, like reels, or what do they call them? Shorts. But we'll see. Once free agency and we start to get any word on the Brock Purdy situation, we might do an NWO show on Monday, but you know how it is with the offseason, Miriah. It's kind of hit or miss as far as information coming down. But yeah, Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday through the season, and just stay tuned on the channel. I'll either let you know through the community tab, Twitter, or through a short of what we're going on doing.
Melissa put the link to his channel in the chat, and it's in the description in this video as well, in case anybody's subscribed to him already. Melissa. Please follow that. Go subscribe to him. He's a great guy, as you guys see. She's also put Wolf's Cast's link in there, so if you're not subscribed to him, please go do so. Appreciate you guys. Aaron, I know you got to go eat pizza soon, so I'll let you get out of here.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you having me on. I think because you were on my channel at one point, so we finally evened it out. It's too bad we couldn't have our guy Teran in here, but I'll take Miriah.
Definitely got to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. I'm down.
All right, chat. You guys are the best as always. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We'll be back next week. I'll see you guys then. Have a great, safe weekend. See you guys. We're out of here.